Hello again, back again, and I'm delighted to talk to you again. I hope you found the last session a little interesting and put up questions about simplicity and about how simple life is, or how it can make it more simple. And I don't know whether that was anyway helpful for you, but I hope it was. And maybe you came to some conclusions, and hopefully that life would have been a bit easier. Anyway, today I think, well, maybe being a bit reflective in the sense that last month I got to be 75, which might mean that I could claim to be a wise old man, or at least maybe some people might say come into a form of dotage. But anyway, the reflective part of it, of course, would be that with the passage of time, as time doesn't seem to stop ever, that it would be coming closer, nearer to the horizon, and coming nearer to stepping over the horizon. And then that brings up the big question as to what happens then. What's it like when that happens? And of course it brings up the question too for people as to whether indeed you would accept that there is a continuity of life. That if there's nothing, of course, well then that's that. I would just say when you're dead type of thing, and that's all there is. But obviously I don't come from that sort of area, if you like. I do believe very much in the continuity of life. And the thing is, how it is seems to be more connected with our mindset, what we bring with us when we move on. And the more open-minded we are, the easier it will be. So the whole thing of fear, you see, has been very much part of our conditioning, and it still is in many ways. And this is something that came very much into the sessions with Shibak, and we're talking about fear, and how fear enters into our lives in so many ways, so many ways. Fear of change, fear of the whole thing in connection with relationships, all different sorts of fears, fear of the dark even, fear of how we can cope with life and what's around the corner for us, when we have enough money to survive, all the things to do with, I suppose, bringing in stuff like worrying about children and so on, how they get on in life. And so it sort of impinges on us in so many ways. And ultimately, of course, I suppose the biggest fear of all is the fear of death, and particularly the fear of what happens then. So that was very much part of our earlier sessions, and to do with how we can deal with that. And obviously it's very helpful if we know, or we can accept, that there is no such thing as judgment in the form that certainly was part of my conditioning, and really that there's no such place as hell, that's just simply a state of mind, and indeed the same thing that it's all to do in heaven and hell and all that, they're all to do with states of mind, and that we ourselves are our own judges. So the whole notion of life, that if we can help it in some way, that this helps to take away fear, that it brings a new liberation into how we are, and maybe you might like to think about that and how it feels to you, how much does fear enter into your life, and where does the fear come from? And perhaps narrow it down to particular areas as to what causes it and what helps you to find more security in life, you know, and that not to not to get into states of anxiety, you know, and so on. That worry is a big factor, of course, and I don't suppose there's anybody that would say that life, you know, that it's a complete doddle, like there's nothing to worry about. But and yet we know that worry is something that is very limiting and doesn't help at all, you see, because what it does, if I'm worrying about somebody, what I'm doing is I'm creating a whole thought form of anxiety around them, and indeed making life more difficult for them. And yet we'd say, like, maybe that if we love somebody, we need to worry about them. Of course, the very reverse is true, really. If we love them, we'd be better off, and they'd be better off if we didn't worry about them. So that was that comes into a lot into our different sessions, you see, and it also, you know, it's a huge leap, I suppose, to move from the whole area of feeling that we're going to be consigned forever to a place of darkness or fire or hellfire and so on. It's essentially that if we are, as came in our earlier session, that we're part of whatever we call God, but then obviously it can't happen, like that no part of God can be condemned eternally. So maybe that's perhaps enough of a thought for today, if you feel like dwelling on that, and then that we'll expand and we'll talk about other things maybe the next day. In the meantime, I hope you have a great time, that everything goes really swimmingly for you, without worry, without fear, and very simply. Thanks for listening.